Hi everyone, this is Kelvin Hoy, the Cinephile. Thank you so much for clicking this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. So, today we will be speaking about Toy Story 4. Now, this is my spoilers review, so all bets are off. I'm sure most people have seen it by now, but if you haven't seen it, just put this in your watch later and watch this after you've seen the film. Okay, so Toy Story 4 was announced in 2014, 5 years ago. It was supposed to come out in 2017 and then 2018, and it finally came out a couple of weeks ago. So I watched this over a week ago, so I've had quite a bit of time to marinate on it. And I'll tell you how I feel. So we're going to go through positives, negatives, or positives, mixed, and negative. So a quick plot summary. Apparently Toy Story 4 takes place 2 years after Toy Story 3, a year or 2 years after, and they're living with Bonnie now. So all of the toys are living with Bonnie. They've said goodbye to Andy. And Bonnie and Andy, Bonnie and Woody, apologize, I'm sorry. So Bonnie and Woody aren't getting along as well, or she's already bored of him, to be quite frank. And so this puts Woody in a difficult position. It's a position that we've all been in and we've all sort of encountered, which is this sort of lonely place, and we don't really have a purpose, or we don't know what our purpose is. So that's where Woody is in this film. And so Bonnie has to go to kindergarten, and she's very afraid. This is her first day at kindergarten. And so while at kindergarten, Woody goes with her to help her along. And Woody, gives her some garbage, some trash, literally. And so Bonnie, she's all by herself, but it's creative time, or arts and crafts time. So she creates this new thing called Forky. And I'm sure you've seen the images, the posters. So it's basically a spork with eyes, googly eyes, and I think it's a pipe cleaner or pipe wire, and for arms, and he has little legs. So it's a cute creation, appealing in some ways, sort of odd in others, right? Because he is sort of just made, and he comes to life because Bonnie writes her name on his the sole of his feet, and somehow he comes to life. Alright, so it's not important, it doesn't really matter. So he comes to life, and Woody has to teach him how to become a toy because he thinks he's trash. And I've heard a lot of people say they relate to Forky because they feel like trash. Sometimes you feel like trash. I felt like trash, I'm sure other people have. And you don't really know what you are. So, but Forky, I found the character to be much more innocent than that. He thinks he's trash because that's where he was, born from or created from. And so Woody has to help him become a toy. And I don't want to spend too much time on the plot, but basically, so Woody and Forky, they go on this adventure. Forky jumps out of the window when Bonnie's family is on an RV trip, and Woody goes after him. And Woody goes to this antique store and sees Bo Peep's lamp. Bo Peep's not there, but he goes in, and then we meet all these different characters. So Gabby, and then Woody meets Bo Peep in the playground across the street, from the antique store. And yeah, so the plot goes from there, and they go on these series of mini adventures, basically, and they find out, and Woody, since he's met Bo Peep, who's sort of a lost toy, that's her title now, and Bo Peep thinks it's great to be a lost toy because she gets to have freedom, she's in the park, she plays with children, and she's not really, there is danger, that she'll be destroyed, but there's no danger of being thrown out, or she doesn't have to commit herself. And then Woody is sort of against this idea because he still wants to go back to Bonnie, but really he wants to go back to Andy. And that's sort of past now. Andy's gone. So Andy's in junior probably, or even third year of college. So anyways, that's the basic plot of the film. And so what did I think? So positives, this is, I mean, from the very, I think the first scene actually, or the second scene, the first scene is with Woody and Bo Peep when Bo Peep is given away. But the second scene I think is Andy playing with his toys. And this is in between the second and third film. Nostalgia. So much nostalgia. I mean, they play this great scene of Andy playing with all of his toys. They play You've Got a Friend in Me, and I've been listening to that for, I mean, literally 24 years. So, 23 for me, because I think I watched the film in 1996. I watched it on video after, I didn't see it in theaters. So I watched Toy Story on video with my friend. I remember because we were at my mother's house. And then I watched Toy Story 2 with my family in theaters. Toy Story 3 with my family again. And then Toy Story 4 with my wife. So, I mean, and I will say these 4 films is probably one of, if not the best series. Or, you know, I think they call it, I can't remember the name now, but the best 4 films of a franchise. I mean, Harry Potter had 4, but then they had 7 afterwards, or 7 in total. Star Wars has more than 4. Marvel, obviously, DC. So this one, in terms of one story, one overarching story that takes one character over 20 years. I know, and that's, in the actual story, it's less than 20 years. Whatever it is, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years in the actual story. It's an incredible arc. It's probably one of the best film series of all time. I think the 4th film, wait, I have to stay positive. So, positives, it's funny, it's sweet, there's nostalgia, it's beautiful, it's beautifully rendered. Everything is beautifully articulated, so they have the clothing, you know, Bo Peep, you can see the difference from the first film, from Bo Peep in Toy Story and Bo Peep now. I mean, just the texture on her face, the shine, it's just so much more advanced. The cats, so a lot of people have been comparing this, the cats in Toy Story 4 to the dog in the original Toy Story. So obviously there's a huge advancement over the past 24 years in 3D animation. And we've seen that with other studios as well. I don't know if any other studio puts as much money and, more importantly, time and effort into their films than Pixar. I think that's why people still love them. And even though their record isn't pristine anymore, it's you know, they have the Cars franchise. I don't want to knock Cars too much. I've never watched any of the films. But they also had Good Dinosaur, which was a little bit mixed, and Brave, right? You can't make 20 films. I believe this is 21 with Toy Story 4. But you can't make 20 plus films without having a difference in quality, you know? Sometimes it's a little bit lower and higher. It's just like the MCU. You know, some people like certain films. I love Thor. Some people don't like it. They rank it very low. I like A Bug's Life. Some people rank it very low. You know, like second last place, or like 19th, you know, out of 20, or 18th out of 20, which is surprising. But anyways, so positives, it's funny, it's beautiful. I really enjoyed the film. I was entertained. That second scene with the nostalgia just hit me so hard. I was like smiling, I was happy. Going to mixed category, I think, I don't know if they could have done anything about this once they made the choice to introduce different characters. And you need new characters, and you need new toys, right? It's not just about merchandise, which is, I mean, obviously that's a part of it. But you need new toys, just like you need new characters for every film in a series, or else it's just so stagnant, right? I think Jesse and the rest of the characters have very little to do in this film. even less than Toy Story 3, which I think used the characters a little bit better, or the old characters a little bit better. And Toy Story 3 introduced quite a few new characters. It introduced Lotso the bear, Baby. I just I just watched Toy Story 3 like less than a week ago, or more than a week ago, but less than a week before I watched Toy Story 4, so it's fresh in my mind. Also, I think this is mixed. It's not a huge deal, but I think some of the voice work is a little bit iffy because the actors are getting older. Joan Cusack is turning 60 soon, so she voices Jessie. Sounds great in some scenes, or sounds normal in some scenes, and it sounds a little bit odd in other scenes. I don't know if that's an age thing. I'm not trying to be ageist, but yeah, I found that a little bit odd. So, some things that I really did not like. So, negatives. I thought the third act was really getting into weak territory, like where it actually took me out of the film and where I was starting not to enjoy the film as much. So I think it's a little bit silly. I believe the name is Trixie, the dinosaur, the Triceratops, acting as a GPS system. It's the same problem I had with Finding Dory. Spoilers for Finding Dory if you haven't seen that yet. But that film was even sillier. I actually almost dislike Finding Dory. And I believe that's the problem with sequels. I mean, this is the fourth entry in the Toy Story series, and they've had shorts as well. So it's a lot of content to be with these characters, and people will say, well, you can spend 5 years or 5 seasons or 6 seasons or 7 seasons with the same characters, and that's not an issue. Yeah, because those are shorter stories. Those are now with streaming, it's a little bit skewed and different, but usually it's like 40 minutes, 45 minutes is a long episode. And then if that's a half an hour show like The Simpsons, it's 20 minutes or 21 minutes of actual animation or show. And so you're spending less time with them, and the stakes are smaller because you're spending less time with them. They have to fit it into the episode. I mean, there's some good stakes in The Simpsons, but animation, I think, in terms of story, this one, number 4, I will say it stretches it out quite a bit. I mean, from a place of love, I hope this is the last one. I think Toy Story 5 should not happen. I think if you want it to stay alive and keep the merchandise going, just do shorts. And people can watch them, people can enjoy them if they want to, right? I know the same can be said about a 5th film, but I think in terms of legacy for Pixar, I think the same thing happened with the Cars series. I think the first Cars was received well enough, and then number 2 really took the studio down a peg, and then number 3 was a little bit better, I think, than number 2. I haven't seen any of them, so this is just from reading about Pixar. Yeah, I don't think there should be a Pixar. I don't think there should be a Toy Story 5. Okay. Also, I did not like the inner voice for Buzz. I thought that was strange. I think Buzz is really... He's in the film more. It's really Woody, Buzz, and Bo Peep from the original Toy Story. And Bo Peep has a huge role in this. And so from the old characters, Buzz is given the most to do. I think Jessie really has nothing to do, and Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head literally do nothing. I think they have 1 line or 2 lines in the film. Yes, so I did not like the inner voice for Buzz. I thought that was odd. I think the characters would have had that conversation, or Buzz would have figured it out a long time ago. Like what's a conscience, right? Like they've been together for over 10 years. Wouldn't they figured it out? Also, he knows he's a toy, so why would he listen to his voice, right? It's like he knows he's a toy, so why would he listen to something that's programmed? It doesn't really make any sense. So and that's not to say in Toy Story or 2 or 3 that there aren't these little details or little moments where, oh, that really doesn't make that much sense, right? I'm sure if I watched them, I would find things like that. And I've only seen, I don't even know if I've seen Toy Story 2 twice or 3 times. seen Toy Story twice because I watched it in the airplane recently. I found it on the airplane and I just watched it. A long trip to Hong Kong. And so I've watched that a couple of times. I watched Toy Story 3 a couple of times. Toy Story 2 I might have only watched once, all the way through. And Toy Story 4 obviously once. So, yeah, so those are some of the things I didn't like. I think the third act was a little bit silly. It's really stretching it in terms of believability. I didn't like Buzz talking either, like to Bonnie, say, "You forgot your backpack," and it's like, and I know Bonnie said it right afterwards, but even she's like, okay, no, she's 3 or 4, but even the parents, like I don't know how parents didn't hear that and Bonnie heard it, but anyways, it's just, yeah, when the film gets a little bit silly like that, it, took me out of it a little bit. Didn't really enjoy it as much. Okay, so that being stated, I really enjoyed the film. It's funny, it's touching, and it asks some complicated questions. Now, people say, well, is there really a reason for Toy Story 4 to exist? And I would say yes, there is. I think they did a good enough job with the story where it's a pleasant film. I give it a positive review. I know I was complaining about those things, but I just think that's why this should be the last one. Because it's really, really testing the audience. And yes, but it's a beautiful send-off for Woody. He gets to say goodbye to Buzz and the other characters. I thought that was beautifully done. So it's basically like the beginning of the film is really good, and the ending, like the last few scenes are really good. I'd say there's some scenes in the middle that are funny and entertaining as well. In the antique shop, I thought they did a great job with Gabby Gabby in terms of having a I was about to say realistic. No, not realistic villain, but a villain who had a purpose, right? Who had a reason for being villainous or doing something that was questionable. So, yeah, I thought that was great. So the questions that it asks, do you stay with your kid and show loyalty even when the kid has moved on? So Woody has been through this with Andy, right? Andy stopped playing with the toys, obviously when he turned 12, 13, 14. So do you stay with your kid and show loyalty, or do you move on if given the chance? And take that chance, live a new life, try something new, and it's not a surprising ending, but I am glad that they went that way, because I think Woody has been through a lot, and they show that the character is, he's a toy, but he has a good heart, as a character, and he deserves some happiness, and he's not getting it from Bonnie, and Bonnie really wouldn't be heartbroken if Woody left, which is sort of restated by Buzz. So, great ending. I hope this is it for this Toy Story franchise. I really enjoyed this one. I think it's probably, I think it's probably the funniest Toy Story. Maybe it's either the funniest or the second funniest Toy Story film. I mean, I really enjoyed all of them. I think, like I said, I think it's one of the best franchises of all time. The best quadrilogy, I believe that's the correct term. One of the best quadrilogies of all time. So they have not ruled out the possibility of Toy Story 5, which is... I don't think they should do it. I really hope they don't. If you look at the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, that's just one organized place for it. Metacritic is another place that you can look it up. So many of the reviews are 3 stars, 3.5 stars, and I'm not ragging on the film. I'm just saying, I mean, this is borderline. I know it has 80, I think it's 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, or 97 now. But, so it has great reviews, but I think a lot of those reviews gave them a pass. Because this film, like, Finding Dory, I mean, man. Finding Dory, I would give maybe even a 5 or 5.5 out of 10. Like, that's how much I dislike it. I think there are some good scenes in there, but I just think it's so unnecessary and it's so stretched out. It's so silly with the octopus driving the car. But anyways, I'm just ragging on Finding Dory. But yes, I hope they don't do a number 5. Let me know what you thought about the film. I really enjoyed it. I think it's probably, can't think. I love Goblet of Fire from the Harry Potter series. That one's good, but in terms of emotion and and I may or may not have cried. Who knows? In Toy Story 4, who knows? Can't remember if I cried or not in Toy Story 3. Probably, but anyways, so I think the humor's there. Like I said, it's one of the funniest Toy Stories. I think the story is decent enough. I think the emotion is certainly there because we care about these characters. They've existed since 1995 when the film released, and so we've been on this journey with them, even though it's not real time, even though it's not 24 years for the characters. It's still a long time for us. It's sort of like Incredibles. There's no, I think, like Incredibles 1 and Incredibles 2 takes place in less than a month, right? But we really care about the characters. I know people love The Incredibles. But for this film coming from a place of love, I don't think they should do number 5. What do you think? Are you up for number 5? Would you like to see more from these characters? What did you think from Toy Story 4? I really enjoyed the film. Before I forget, I want to give it a score. I've had a week to think about this, but I still don't have it ready right now. So I would give it, I'm gonna go with a 4.1 out of 5 stars. I think it's really, really good. I think it's hilarious, heartfelt. The music is on point. Great score by Randy Newman. So he's one of the old Pixar guys, basically. He did Toy Story, obviously, and I don't know if he did 2 or 3, probably. But he did the original Toy Story. He did Princess and the Frog for Disney. He did Toy Story 4, so he's very accomplished. He's up there with Alan Menken. I think Alan Menken's a little bit better. But yes, so the score is great. Cinematography, colors, the rendering in this film, so beautiful, so complex. Again, the cat's amazing. Bo Peep looks amazing. New characters, even he's not supposed to look incredible, but I think Gabby Gabby looks good. Duke Kaboom. So I have to talk about Duke Kaboom really quickly. So Keanu Reeves is having himself a year. You know, it's a good year to be Keanu. And so he did a good job in the film. His voice fits the character. Very funny. So yes, I would give the film 4.1 out of 5. I just some scenes I wasn't crazy about, and some details I wasn't in love with. I think something has to happen for the film. Like when you do a number 4, something has to change. Something has to happen to the characters, right? Whether positive or negative. And it's positive because it's a family film, and it's a great film for the family. But this is the end of Woody and Buzz. I think having them back together, or say, oh, they got back together somehow, right? It's like, that would be really lame. I know that you can do another Toy Story 5 with Buzz and all of them, Jesse and Rex and all the other characters, and then you can do Woody and Bo Peep and have another adventure. But I think it's really stretching it. I think shorts is the way to go. So yes, really positive review, 4.1 out of 5. What do you think? Did you like the film? Let me know. Please like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends about this channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Yes, I love hearing from you, and I would love to talk to you about this film. It's a very important film to me. It's a very important film to millions of people all over the world. It's doing good, very good box office. Not great, a lot of people commented on that and said, oh, it's, came in under expectations. Well, when you're expecting $175 million and it comes in a little bit below that, it's not a big, it's not a big deal. I don't think Disney really cares. They're still making money. But yes, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Until next time, I will try to get more trailer reactions, pardon me, and movie reviews up here. And tell me what else you want to see on this channel. Okay? Thank you very much. Bye for now.